Hey! It's been a wonderfully long time since I've done this, but here we go. So, how long has it been since I uploaded a video where I actually spoke? I don't even know. Anyway, this is a Lego Titanfall 2 Vanguard-Class Titan MOC that I spent like a year working on. It took me a really long time because I like to procrastinate a lot. Not really the biggest, I don't do well with sitting down and finishing a project in one go. Especially something like this where there's a ton of digging around and stuff that I need to do. It took way longer than I would have liked, but it's done enough where I feel like I can do a video on it, and I'm probably not going to ever completely 100% finish it, just because I don't have all the pieces that I need, all the parts. I'm working on instructions for this with the, what's it called? Brick Studio. It's like the official Lego digital designer app, but it's made by Bricklink, and it's much, much better. It has a lot more parts, and it can give you an accurate price estimate, and it's mostly done. I haven't built the gun and stuff, but it's comes around to around $40, which is actually really good for something this big. But anyway, I'll post that whenever I finish it. I don't know when that'll be, but in the meantime, I thought I'd just show this off, because why not? So I've seen a lot of other Lego Titanfall MOCs out there, and most of them are pretty good. There are a few that are better than mine, but I've only seen a couple of Vanguard-Class Titans, and I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about them, but some of them aren't that good. So just go ahead and do a quick overview of this. Got my pilot boy. Just for a size comparison, mostly, and it's not exactly minifig scale. It's a little bit big, but that's just because of the proportions of minifigures. You can't fit a minifigure inside the Titan normally and build the Titan to scale. I could have made it minifigure scale, but then I wouldn't have been able to fit a guy inside as easily. So that's the main reason I didn't do that. But there he is next to the Titan. Definitely a big boy. Also, this is the same backdrop I've had for 5-6 years. I don't know, whenever I made my first review style video. Now, the first one I did on the carpet, and then I did another one with a Halo action figure with this backdrop. And it's just a piece of paper taped to a sheet of cardboard. So it's really simple and easy to make. It's kind of small and off-white. It's not actually white, but yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. That's a little bit of a tangent. First thing I want to mention is the gun in his hand is actually his hand is part of it. So this whole thing comes off like that, and it's just another hand, because I couldn't get it to hold the gun in its hand securely enough to justify, or to actually put it in his hand. So he has a regular hand here, and then there's another hand attached to the gun right there. And it's not as good as I would like. I would like to be able to make it look a little bit more like the regular hand, but I don't know. It's close enough. Gun itself took a little bit of time. This is the last thing I built. I started with the middle, actually the eyepiece, built off of that, and then I built the arms, and then I built the legs, and then I built the gun. The gun itself, not something I'm really, that good at building, but I think I did all right. It's not 100% accurate, obviously. I had to make do with the pieces I had left after building the rest of this, but I think I did a pretty good job. It's got the overall shape that the XO16 has. It's got the ammo drum, which I think is supposed to be red. I don't know. But it's got the ammo drum, which does come off, and has the little, like, clamp that goes on top. The front barrel is a little bit loose, just because it's attached by a single stud, because that's how that's how I built it. And then it does have the bipod, which is a tripod in game. It doesn't actually do anything, it's just there, but it does have a folding bipod. So there's a lot of little things in this that, you know, just add a little bit of detail, and I'm happy with it. It's good enough. Not the best ever, but pretty good. And anyway, let me get the hand onto the Titan boy. So, talking about the Titan, he's quite, it was quite the undertaking building this guy. Oh, definitely not the most sturdy thing I've ever built. It's a little bit better than the Mantis that I built a while ago, but it's still pretty flimsy, and mostly the shoulders. Like, the legs are fine. Like, he can stand on his own just fine. He can't really balance, though. That's why I have him on the stand. But he can support his own weight, and his feet are pretty wide, like, have a lot of surface area, so, like, he can support his own weight just fine. Like, I'm not worried about his knees collapsing, like I was with the Mantis. It's more balance thing that I'm worried about, because, again, like the Mantis, it's really top-heavy, but it does a pretty good job on its own. Just going around the outside, just, lots of detail. There's a lot of detail that had to go into this. It's, like, in-game, it's a newer game. It's not an old game, so they were able to put a lot of detail into it. And, oh boy, was there. They did take advantage of that. I'm going to go ahead and take off the arms so they don't fall off. Actually, look at the arms real quick. So one of the things that I think I impress myself with this is the amount of articulation that I put into it. So, like, the arms have a ball joint at the shoulder, which allows it to, rotate and hinge and all that. And it just, sticks on there. I should maybe figure out a way to get it to, like, peg in with an axle to the other side, maybe. I don't know. That might be something I'll have to update later on, but it's got the ball joint on the shoulders. It's got a bicep swivel there, and a hinge, which the hinge is really tight, which is good and bad because it's hard to bend, but it does keep it from, like, falling down when he's holding the gun. The wrist is on a swivel, which isn't a swivel, it's just studs, so it's pretty tight. And then each finger has its own hinge, and the thumb has 2 hinges, so it can swivel that way and like that. I would have rather had it on a ball peg, like one of the little, what are they called? Mixels have, like, really small ball joint pieces, and I would have liked to use those instead, but I don't have any of those, and I didn't feel like buying more pieces just to build this. I wanted to work with what I had. So those are the arms. They're both the same, they're just mirrored. So there's not much there. One of the things that was a challenge definitely was the eye, which, as you can see, it does focus. It does, like, swivel in there, but it's not game accurate. Like, it's not a cylinder with the eye in the middle. It's just what do they call those? It's just the piece with the clip on top, and then a stud on the bottom of that on a T-bar, T-pipe, whatever they call those things. I had to learn what pieces are called when I was building this in the Brick Studio app, because you can't search a piece if you don't know what it's called, or at least how to describe it. But that was a challenge when I was building this. It was hard to actually get that, to function, because I could have made it look better, but I wanted it to be able to move, because it would look really derpy if it was just, like, the gun was over here and it was looking off to the side. I wanted it to be able to actually, like, turn its head. It doesn't have a head, but, its eye. And then there's also the rocket launchers on top, which, not too ridiculous, but a little bit of just a little. Those were probably one of the more fun things to build, because it was super easy, and the main thing I had to make sure was that it had the right number of joints, which I think has one too many joints, but it works pretty well. It folds out and it folds back in really nicely. Like they just fold into the back and they don't stick out too much. They look really good when they're out like that. So those I'm pretty happy with. Actually, one of the main pieces of reference I had was the Titanfall 2 art book, which only has like, it just has a couple of renders, like a shot from the front and a shot from the back, and there's not a lot visible. I had to do a lot of Googling and, go in-game and spin around the Monarch model, which, oh boy, it's hard to get reference from games sometimes. So just want to keep looking at that going around. So there's the thrusters on the back, which I feel like I should have made those blue, but I couldn't find any more blue studs. A lot of things I had to compromise because I ran out of pieces. And there are a couple of like inaccuracies, like there aren't like the little battery slots under here, which is a really weird place to put the batteries, especially compared to the other Titans, which just have them on top. Like there's the little hatch here, which I guess in game can open up. Like there's just a little hatch and you slide down into the cockpit somehow or something. I don't know if that's how that works, if that's like the battery cover or the reactor cover. I don't know. But there's one of the other Titans, I think it's Tone. You can just like slide into through the top. Or like Atlas in the first game. Anyway, there's butt flaps. There's the hips. Oh, the hips. This little like thing around the hip part. Hold on, let me get in there. So this little bit around the hips was by far one of the hardest parts to do, just because like I wanted to not restrict the movement, but I also wanted it to look right. So I had to find something that wouldn't get in the way of the hip joint, but it also like wasn't just like stuck on there. So I guess I figured out something that works. It's not the best. I would like to make it a little bit better, but it's definitely good enough for the amount of time that it took. Oh, and then there's also the midsection. There's not enough. I feel there's not enough detail in there. Like there's not all like the hoses and wiring and all that, like there is in game, like all the red pipes and stuff. I need to get some like red pieces in there, but it is like hunched a little bit. I didn't want to make it just like straight up and down. Originally, I had it so it could hinge on its own and it wasn't fixed in a certain position, but that, it kept falling off, so I had to add another hinge, and it's still a little loose in places. Structural integrity is not my strong suit when it comes to building giant robots, but it definitely looks good. And I wanted to have like a waist swivel, but I couldn't fit that in. I could. Like it would be as simple as just adding a swivel right there. So I could add a swivel, but I don't want to. Especially since in game it's not just like a swivel, like the whole thing like twists. It doesn't just like swivel on the base or at the top. The whole like midsection twists and flexes, which is possible to do, but I don't have the parts necessary to do it, so I can't do it. Alright, and then the legs, again, the last thing I did, like I built the thighs and had those for a long time, and then and I had like the knee plates, but then I didn't really do anything for a long time, and then I came back and I had to like completely rebuild the thigh, completely redesign the knee, and I'm still not completely happy with it, with how they turned out. They're good, definitely, but they're not like perfect. But they do have a good range of articulation, range of movement. Like the ball hinge at the hip definitely helps. It doesn't look as good as I would like. There's no like hoses and wiring and anything in there. No like hydraulics like in the back of the knee or on the back of the elbows, the biceps, triceps, I should say, or in the in the midsection. Not any hydraulics, so I would definitely fix that if I could, but I can't. But it does have good range of motion. The knee plate is also articulated, so it doesn't it does leave a big gap there, but it doesn't leave as big of a gap as it could. And then the, what is that, the ankle, not the ankle, but the second knee joint also bends. And then it has the almost the same joint I used on the Mantis. I tried to replicate it exactly, but I couldn't remember what I did, and I don't think I did a video of the last Mantis I built, which was by far the best, like the most accurate. I don't remember if I did a video of that or not. I'll have to check. But it had really good feet that, you know, had like an ankle rocker, and they balanced really well, and it was mostly the same design. But there was something else that I guess I missed, and I wish I could remember what I did there so I could, you know, replicate it. So that's the legs. And then the last thing really to mention is the cockpit, which isn't detailed at all, but it does open up top and bottom, and then take a minifigure and just plop him in there. Gotta make sure his arms don't get stuck, so those have to go down. Just plop a minifigure in there, put his arms down a little bit more because I'm bad at this. Come on, I built this. Can't be that bad. And then, oh, it's still in the way. There's a backpack piece on. I don't know why. It doesn't do anything. Okay, so then that locks in, and then the top closes, and there's a guy in there. You can't tell, so there's not really much point in having anyone in there while it's closed, but if it's open and you want to have the guy like climbing out, or have the Titan putting a guy inside, you can actually do that pretty easily. Or not easily, I should say, but well. And just because he can't bend his elbow more than 90 degrees, and he can't reach across with his bicep more than like straight out, you can't actually put it in, but you can put it in front, and it looks like he's moving it towards, like into it. So you can do it, but anyway. Oh, and it's starting to fall off. But that's that. It's a good thing I paused the recording there, because that took me quite a while. I definitely need to work on the shoulders, because they keep falling off if I like try to move the arms at all. They just pop off because they're stuck on by flat 2x2 cylindrical plates, so they're really flimsy. But anyway, that's my Lego Titanfall 2 Vanguard-Class Titan. I guess that I could call it A102 because that's the number on top right there. So technically I could call that as its name. But there it is. Took only like 6 months. Was it 6 months or a year? I don't know how long it took. I wasn't keeping track, but it took a very, very long time. It's done. Hope you like it. Sorry about the long video. Hope you enjoy it. And like if you did, dislike if you did not like it, and subscribe for probably, maybe, possibly some more eventually. And I will see you probably in the next video at some point in the future.